Hello everyone and welcome to this special YouTube stream where I want to have a look at crypto since we had some quite big moves actually today. So for the ones in the chat, please give me a quick sound confirmation just so I can make sure you can all hear me. And yeah, then I just want to run through some of my charts, have a look at where we are, especially on BTC. We just hit a big support actually, which we can see here being a value area low, a daily level, a weekly level. And I'm going to give you my perspective on this. One thing that I would keep in mind is that we have a low right below this support here. So that's going to be an interesting one. Let's see, loud and clear. That's perfect. So yeah, and one thing that we have to do now, and that is two things. So one thing is to remind you all that everything I'm doing here is no financial advice and all for educational purposes only. So that is super important to get that out of the way first. And also, if you want me to look at any asset, that can be any altcoin, that can be gold, silver, that can be Nasdaq, can be stocks, whatever, let me know under this post, okay? I will only have a look at this post. Yeah, so please put that under this post right here on my X. So I see many already came through, all right? So let's have a look. But if you want that, that's where you can find it. So first and foremost, what I have to update here is, of course, BTC. On BTC, we have to go through what was happening here, all right? So we had this long trade on this daily not a daily NPC, the range point of control and an old daily. I said I was interested in this trade. I said I wanted a daily close above. I said the retest is where I want to take a trade. I also said that this high was a take profit one. Some people seem to not or have not really understood that this is a take profit one. However, I made it very clear. And yeah, that's why this was a very nice trade. Now we moved into the lows here. So we have to clean up the chart a little bit. My bigger target was the weekly up here, 73,000. However, this was not hit, as we can see. And now it brought us all the way down to a full value rotation into the range value area low. So what we have to do is update this. We have the value area low, currently looking at a 4-hour time frame. So what we can see, the first thing down here is, shall I move this to the left? I'm going to do that. Okay, so the first thing that we can see here is, for now, there's no higher time frame closes back inside the value area low. This, of course, is one thing I'll be keeping an eye on. One thing that I don't really like down here is that we have not taken the low at 65,571. So in my opinion, the best case scenario on BTC would be the following, and that is reject here again, move into this low, take the liquidity, and then give us the sign of strength, which would be this right here. Okay, so that would be the absolute best case scenario for BTC, where I would then take a long trade up here. Okay, first I would just aim for a value rotation and then see what I can do. However, what I have to keep an eye on as well is to see if we get closes above the value area lows. So this could mean that I would already take some partial, but actually with this rejection here of the range value area low, not the best scenario. However, I'm going to keep an eye on potential reclaims as we hit all of the big levels down here, okay? And not holding this area, in my opinion, significantly increases the probabilities for a move below $59,000. So in my opinion, we are at the last big level of support, okay? So my alert is placed for this SFP down here. Is placed. I will keep an eye. It comes also down to what the stock market is doing, as we know. but that would be the easiest trade where we could look into an SFP, maybe even taking out this low. That is something I have to check the moment we take the first low. So my alert is placed down here. Thus far, I'm not in a long trade yet. I will keep an eye though. When I see my desired sign of strength, I will take a long trade. All right. Also going to have a look at Ethereum. Ethereum has done the exact scenario that I wanted to see here. For me, after moving stop loss to break even, this was hit the stop loss and I am no longer in this trade. Okay, so for me a break even 1. Let's clean this up a little bit. And one thing that's very important to understand here on Ethereum is this. So we always look at the same thing, okay? We had the long trade here. I mentioned this on many live streams, also on a public YouTube stream. The first big level of resistance is always a previous range value area low. This was this up here, 2,382, and we can see Ethereum hit this to the tick for a big rejection. Okay. One level I am keeping an eye on Ethereum. I can delete this now. One big level I'm keeping an eye on Ethereum is 1,930 region, because I think if we lose this level, the probabilities for a new low are also significantly increased, very similar to what BTC is up to here. Okay, so we are at very critical medium time frame support. So let's see, my alert is here. I am not interested in any long trades until we hit this level. In between, I won't take it. But that is going to be an interesting level. I'm also going to have a look at a trend line here. I don't really trade off of trend lines, but it's sometimes good to just be aware of them. So Ethereum, level of interest next. And now I can check some of the requests here. So we have BTC, Solana. We can of course check Solana as well. So we start with Solana, and then we check Link as well. We also had a nice intraday trade on Solana. So what we can currently see is that the futures are pulling back. This could mean that also BTC is going to pull back again. We see this here, still no long trade on Bitcoin. we also have a daily on this weekly here. So the level of support on Solana is 81. NQ hitting my alert. See what happens here now on the lower time frames real quick. And I do need to check why my PC is so slow since doing this YouTube stream. Ooh. Can't really see the reason for that, but my PC is extremely slow since starting this stream. Anyways, let's check this. Does anyone know what that might be? Just gonna have to restart something here real quick. My ATAS, I think. I'll be back in a second. Just gonna restart my ATAS real quick. It's a very bad timing with hitting my level. Let's check BTC in the meantime. Okay, following this plan, maybe we will get this move into the low, which would be the best, honestly, because then we might even have a long trade on stream. I'm trying to do something on Solana, but my area of interest definitely will be this. What about the price location on this one? Also not the worst. So, but this is going to be very, very decisive what BTC is doing, because if BTC can't hold these levels, Solana, Ethereum, and all of our altcoins will also not hold these medium time frame levels. So this is going to be very, very, very important to keep an eye on what BTC is doing, of course. So it's running a lot smoother now with ATAS being closed. So I think that's the, oh, actually not smooth. It's the reason. So we have another daily up here. I don't think I really like this. Let's see a 1-to-1 target on this one. It's also going to be down here. Yeah, that's the level on Solana. If this doesn't hold, it's very likely that we will get $58 on Solana. And Link was requested, so I'm also going to have a look at Link. Oh, I can see we also have NEAR, which was one of the setups I was interested in, close to entry, market structure play laddering into this. So I definitely need to check that one as well. I'm gonna keep this here then, because I can do that next. Ooh, crypto is at an interesting place here. But let's do Link for a second, because for that NEAR trade, I'm gonna have time. We had this long trade a while ago, a super good one. I'm not sure if I see a new trade on Link though. I'm gonna update this, but I need to check the super high time frame on this. The long trade we had was this weekly into the big range point of control. SFP was very easy in my opinion, but since this looks a little bit more weak in my opinion. We have a weekly here, but the previous week and this retest extremely bearish. So on Link, I for myself am not interested in a new long trade, to be honest, not even down here. Still keeping an eye on BTC down here. As we can see, for now, the range value area low is resistance, which is great. Is this still dropping? Yes. So we have no good why is my PC so slow? We have no reason to look for any long trades yet on BTC, in my opinion. Let me have a look at what else is requested. So we have INJ, I can check INJ and XRP. About hype, I'm sure hype is requested as well, isn't it? Hype is always requested, but it's one of my setups I was looking at a while ago on an altcoin stream, but I can see it slowing down a little bit here, hype, so let's move over to INJ. Ooh, I don't like INJ. Compared to the entire crypto space, INJ is just extremely weak. We had this SFP, but there's zero signs that this is going to hold anything here. So in my opinion, INJ is going to make a new low. Let's skip this one then and look at XRP. We have a weekly which is not holding, value area low. XRP looks super weak as well. Oh, if BTC can't hold here, I think we're gonna see a big drop on altcoins. This looks super weak. The last chance for XRP honestly would be to do an SFP down here, but then we would need to see a quick reclaim. So in my opinion, ooh, these altcoins are in danger definitely if we can't hold on BTC. That will be dangerous. I mean, not dangerous, it's nothing bad, but okay, futures dropping. We had this lovely long trade on NQ. If we drop into down here, this would be the biggest thing ever. That's good for BTC to drop into there, Solana. But XRP, if that's not an SFP, I wouldn't be surprised to revisit the lows even. We did have high gold. We can check gold, but on gold, honestly, we had this long trade here a while ago. I gave this as a one-to-one target into the CC previous supply. It was activated. Now we have to see if we can reclaim these this value area low here. So if that is the case, then nice. But for me, as in the next spot investment into gold, we would have to move into 3,300. I cannot buy spot up here. I did have some spot gold, but I sold it up here. I made the champion members aware of that. And since we had a nice drop, this was a funny one in general, so 20% drop. That was a funny one because that was some physical gold. I sold this and person was like, oh, how can you sell gold now? Gold is gonna 10x from here. So yeah, maybe, but I think the next couple of weeks we will see a pullback, and a couple of days later we are down 20%. That was kind of funny because I've done the same with silver. But anyways, we can check hype as well. Yeah, of course. Let's check where's hype. Igor is in the house. Hope you're doing well, my friend. People are never ready for these drops ahead on altcoins. That's the thing. So let's see this. BTC still down here. The future still bearish, so it could easily take BTC into a new low as we want to see. Let's see hype. I want to update this, see if we have any new weeklies. No. My last altcoin weekly update was on Wednesday. So let's see. For me personally, I'm not really a fan of all of these dailies here, because we can see there's a daily right there, another daily here. In my opinion though, even hype needs a bigger pullback for now before I am interested. How clean was this one-to-one? Very easy on hype. On hype, this one right here would be more of a swing trading idea that I would trade based off my personal strategy, the 3-candle entry strategy. The members know exactly what that is. Swing trading. Okay, this is my idea for that. For a day trade though, I am already interested here. This would be day trading territory for me. Okay, so very important to differentiate between that. This is day trading territory. Okay, day trading long idea. Because if there's no reaction, I'm not going to take it. I do need to be very, very careful on that one and see. But I will place an alert on the one-to-one daily uptrend anchored view up. I can make this even more accurate. And that is it. It's a nice level, but not for a swing trade. The reason being is if we look at this range low, or I would say the way I do these Fibonacci's is for the last impulse, the way you should do it. No financial advice, of course, but the way I like to do it. And we can see this is not even into the CC. That means in terms of price location, this simply cannot count as a swing trade, but it can be a nice intraday trade. I could force a Fibonacci CC and pull it from here and say, yeah, okay, it's also lining up with this CC. In my opinion, though, for a bigger trade, the accurate way to pull it is from this low to this high. But for a day trade, 100% interesting region here on hype. Yeah, looks nice. We can see BTC pulling back even more. Makes sense with weakness on the futures. So still alert placed. Low is not taken yet. What I can do here though is there's a few more lows I need to be aware of, and that is those down here. So I will draw another line, because very simple, if we don't see a reaction at the first lows, we simply have to wait for, even a little bit too clean here, 65,000 on BTC. Okay, so good. And here, the best thing I can only say, it's no financial advice, as you know, but why try to short the exact low here? We don't have a sign of strength. We moved below this channel low. We've retested that, made a new low, can't reclaim the value area low. We have liquidity below. Market structure, let's do the easiest tool that we have at hand. Every trader needs to know about high, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high. So we simply follow market structure to know, even on the 30-minute time frame, zero signs of strength, zero reason to long this yet. All right. So that was hype. What else do we have? We have Tau. Let's see Tau. Tau looks interesting to spend some time here, as we did have a rather big move to the upside recently. So let me update. On the weekly time frame, there's no good weeklies here. And one thing I need to bring to your attention again is just the previous range value levels. We can see that here into the previous range point of control rejection. Super clean always on altcoins. This is one of the setups that we looked at in my last altcoin weekly update as well, because the way I read Tau here is this. So what's not ideal for sure is that we did not take these lows. Would have been better to see an SFP, then do a cleaner market structure change and move to the upside. Anyways, it didn't happen, so we need to look at the new data. Since what we can see is price had a nice run to the upside, so from this low, that's even a 165% to the upside. What's pretty obvious here is how we have broken the series of lower highs and we pushed into new highs. Something I always check when we do this scenario is check these candles that took previous highs. Is that a liquidity grab, meaning only a wick into these levels, or are we actually closing candles? Here we can see candle close above. So it could be classed as at least an attempt to break the market structure on Tau. This would be the first sign of strength. When I then look at this region here, I can easily identify in terms of, because there's no high time frame levels below, I can identify in terms of good swing trades, it will be difficult for Tau to identify a very good swing trade. Reason is what I already explained with the price location. Without me seeing a deep retracement, it just doesn't really add up for me to be looking for swing trades. However, what I can always do is go down a time frame and say, okay, then I'm looking for day trades at least that I would like to manage in a way of quick take profit, yes, but I do want to keep a remaining position open for a potential scenario where we see follow through to the upside. Tau would have a scenario like this around this region where we had previous supply, impulsively broken. This is our range point of control. I do expect this anchored view up to also move to the upside. It depends on how long this is going to take, of course. But in my opinion, if Tau really wants to stay strong, which we have seen over the last couple of days, this is a higher low which should hold. Okay, so for me, I'm going to place an alert here to see what's happening there. Interesting place. In terms of resistance, what we identified for this trade would be the retest to get into the long and then take it into the daily. Okay, so something like this into here is an idea. Once again, The way I trade this is based off my 3-candle entry strategy, which you can find on the website, and a 4-hour 3-candle setup is what I look at here. See BTC still down here. What about the correlation? If we make a new low, I think BTC can also roll over again. Still, I can't open ATAS for whatever reason. That's super annoying. Let's have a look at another request. So we already had BTC, XRP, Tau, gold. We also had gold. Let's update this. Okay, some stocks. So let me know in the chat. Do you also want me to look at some stocks or virtual? It's one that is highly requested all the time. Extremely clean. That's just crazy. So virtual, we had this long trade here last week. The target that we had, or as big resistance, was the weekly, and this is where we rejected to the tick. So look at this. This is so that setup was identified 2 weeks ago. On Wednesday, we identified this as the target. Before making a new high, we had to be aware of this resistance. So yeah, very, very nice. Very nice to see that, but I can update this. Cannot open others. We rejected this weekly, as we know. We have a daily here. I don't like this. Anchored VWAP. Okay, but I do see one more potential here. This would be the following. We would have to move into a new low, range value area low, reclaim. This is a good setup on virtual. Only this. Oh, BTC, nice. That is nice on virtual after rejecting this to the tick. See, are we still dropping here? Yes. I really want to open others. Anyone ever had that before where Atas is just, I don't know, it says my old session is still closing, which is super random because Atas is closed. Anyway, so what we can do is keep an eye on this. Yes, okay. BTC as expected about to take the lows. It's a 2-hour time frame. till we get a 4-hour close. So, okay, we're gonna stay here for a little while. BTC now about to take the loss, as we were expecting. I ended the task in Task Manager, that's the thing. BTC has taken the loss. One thing that I can, or I personally always do, is check the correlations with the futures market, as that does make a big difference. Let's see if we identify more of a lower time frame entry here, potentially. Want to see a VWAP, which is all the way up here. Daily VWAP, very far away. Mini range, this would be a 5-minute range. It's up here, okay. Done that. Let's see, we still see weakness on futures. So it's super risky to long BTC at this stage. What is Ethereum doing on this job? Still a little bit further away. Solana has some room still. For me, it's this. I'm going to delete this old daily. If you ask me, because I know we have many people who are also scalp trading BTC. I will not take a long trade unless we at least reclaim the previous demand zone. A long trade into this, in my opinion, is suicidal, as this can always happen where we get a demand into supply flip on the which can always happen on the lower time frames. So all of the long trades that are taken now, and I would love to check the order flow, which I can't, are still extremely risky, extremely risky. We don't even have a 30-minute close above. So on the medium time frame, no SFP yet. Lower time frame, zero signs of strength. We have a previous demand zone that could easily be flipped. So for the ones, we can just check this real quick. A scenario would have been this, for example. I don't know why, but probably some have taken a long trade here after making a new low. But we identify a previous demand zone by looking at exactly this. We had demand once, twice, 3 times, 4 times technically, a little bit of a move below. We make a new low. We retest this level, flip previous demand into supply. Okay, this is the exact flip happening here. And price makes a new low. So this is a pattern that you will see over and over and over again across assets, always, all the time. Knowing this, you can use that for every single time frame as at least a mini sign of strength to at least wait for a reclaim of this and not be too aggressive. Because in the end, does it make a difference for you personally to enter after a sign of strength up here with a stop loss of 0.4%, or try to enter down here with 0.17% stop loss? All of that shouldn't make a difference if you know what you're doing and you keep good risk rewards in mind. Okay, so let's see if this happens here. Future still weak. Let's stay here for a second before we look at more. Because that is definitely not looking strong yet. The 1 minute. 1 minute looks awful always. For the ones that know my strategy, also know this 5 minute candle is not classed as a COT, neither is it classed as a COC candle. Okay, so this is not a good candle yet, and I for myself am definitely staying patient. Check this on the lower time frames. Yes. Yeah, 5 minute close to not. So now we have to combine things here. For me, the 5 minute would have to change market structure, at least attempt. So for a long trade, I'm gonna lay it out exactly what I want to see. 5 minute would have to go up here, do the retest in this. This is the 5 minute time frame. At the same time, on the 30 minute time frame, we need closes above the weekly as well. So now I have to combine time frames, and only then I could potentially take a trade here. And if I take a trade, I plan to hold this for a little bit longer, so I don't need to be in just yet. So I can give this time. Also, one thing to keep in mind always is that we have the weekend coming up. Typically, weekend volume, of course, a lot less. But the absolute minimum I could ask for is this reclaim. So let's check what we are doing here. Still bearish market structure, bearish market structure. All of the long trades are still too early, in my opinion. No, the BTC is high interest, so let's stay here for a second. Yeah, we'll do many stock streams next week, yeah. On the website though, I check ES and NQ every day, so. Let's wait. High probability, as I said many times, to make a new low. It comes down to the 5 minute structure, which is simply not good. If you want to learn more about it, all of our members know exactly why. Still another week here. Let's check 1 minute. You can see some buys here. What I want to do, since I don't have order flow at hand, and one thing you could always do, which is not amazing, but is check what is happening with the volume here. It's nice to see that into the lows we did have a volume spike. It is sell volume though, but it's also very likely longs to be stopped out, of course. Thus far, not really many longs picking up on this. Okay. I don't want to keep this. It's a little bit better. We take the previous high, so a little bit better. Let's check one thing from this previous high, from the last high. What we have is we are now moving or looking at super low time frames. So we also have to adjust the TA to those lower time frames. Minimum reclaim, still that level there. Volume, did that change? Still up there. And then a likely scenario would be if we want to see 5-minute strength, this move into here, probably reject around here, and then this could be an area of interest. Can still see zero reason for a long. I mean, even on the lowest time frame that we have, we could also check the 30-second. Yeah, of course, but even here, no sign of strength, still a lower high formation. I'm going to place an alert here that I'm aware of a drop below. What lesson is that on the website that talks about 5-minute you were talking about? This is my scalping strategy, which is called 3-candle entry strategy. Very interesting to see that Nvidia is about to take the lows. My first area of interest on Nvidia is going to be here, 164. This right there. Nvidia, if you don't know, has a massive impact. So the way that works always is we have stocks. Stocks are where the most amount of volume is at, as in the individual assets that we have. Then so that impacts indices. Indices such as ES and NQ impact BTC. BTC impacts Ethereum and other altcoins. So we need to have a top-down analysis and always need to be aware of what the bigger stocks are doing. Nvidia, weak. Nvidia might take the lows. This brings down NASDAQ, for example. NASDAQ, of course, includes the 100 biggest tech stocks in the world. Nvidia is one of the biggest, as we know. NASDAQ correlates with BTC. What we can see is NASDAQ down, BTC is also down. So this is why you always need to be aware of other assets too. It might be you don't want to trade Nvidia, you don't want to trade NASDAQ, ES, whatever, but you need to be aware of the correlations, because I actually made a lesson on this a while ago, where in TradingView, we can check a correlation coefficient indicator. And what you will see there is that how crazy these assets can be correlated at sometimes. So it does fluctuate sometimes, but there is sometimes close to a 1-to-1 correlation, meaning, so no, not a 1-to-1, a 1 would be the strongest correlation between two assets, and sometimes we have a 1 correlation between future indices and BTC. So in my opinion, a very, very big advantage if you look at that, of course. Still no good long trade. Something that I also don't like now on the lower time frames is this structure here. As we don't like these higher lows, higher lows, higher lows here without taking that over a low. Super likely still we're gonna make a new low. NQ just made a new low as well. Let's see. Crazy that we are looking at the 1-minute time frame on BTC. It doesn't happen very often, as normally we would stay on higher time frames. The indicator is correlation coefficient. In the meantime, I'm gonna check here if there's something really standing out in terms of bigger moves up or down today. Crude oil is up today, of course. Someone was asking about Mana, by the way. Mara, was it? I think someone was asking about that one. Let's see. Crazy that we are looking at the 1-minute time frame on BTC. It doesn't happen very often, as normally we would stay on higher time frames. The indicator is correlation coefficient. In the meantime, I'm gonna check here if there's something really standing out in terms of bigger moves up or down today. Crude oil is up today, of course. Someone was asking about Mana, by the way. Mara, was it? I think someone was asking about that one. Looks rather weak, to be honest. Not interested myself. Yeah, and Q down. Too crazy here. See, on no time frame, we have a market structure change. Yeah, sometimes I even check the BTC euro pair, but I would never. It's also a very good question, by the way, but I would never chart this based off the euro pair, because always we go with the highest volume, and this would always be the USD pair. And it's the same. A question we get very often is, in futures trading, you can trade minis, which is a little bit more expensive, or the value of each trade would be more than on micros. So micros would be 1/10, or so 1/10 of one mini contract. But you always want to do the analysis where the volume is at, and that would be on the minis chart, and it's the same on BTC. I would not chart based off the euro pair. So rather slow here still. Let's check this, as we did have a bit of a spike there on lower time frames on NASDAQ. Still no sign of strength. What about ES? Into previous supply, losing that. 5-minute time frame. Let's hide this. Yeah, please hit the like button if you like what we are doing here, or if you want me to keep looking at BTC, hit the likes, else I'm going to look at something else. Because it would be nice if actually on stream we would get a sign of strength for that long trade. Depends. What are our altcoins doing? Ethereum, Solana, NEAR, Link. Let's check the volume here again. Still, the buying volume is extremely low. Can see that even without looking at order flow. Did we have that 30-minute close? Yes, we did. Oh, members know that's a lower quartile close. Ooh. Still, I believe, because people, I know emotions always go crazy, yeah? We have a single print here, by the way. Emotions are always very high when we see a move up on BTC. Although you see this little pop to the upside, I still feel it's an extremely risky trade without reclaiming this level. I feel like, or for myself personally, it's still way too risky. Reason being is also the 30-minute here. What about the 1 hour close? Also the 1 hour just closed. 4 hour needs some more time, of course. Stay here. Gonna hide this drawing just so it's not too confusing. Taking the highs for the first time. But still, previous demand zone is resistance. What I will do is place an alert here as well, just so if price moves into there, I will be alerted, even if I look at something else here, because I do want to check some more assets, of course. What else do we have? See, one of the most One of the most recent comments here, this is 2 hours ago. See Tesla, someone asking for Tesla. We had an amazing call on Tesla, by the way. See this. Microsoft, Nvidia, Meta, Tesla. XRP we did have. Virtual we had. Close below, no strength yet. So Tesla, what we wanted to see all the time was the rejection of the previous high. It's exactly what happened. Tesla is down 26% ever since. My next area of interest on Tesla is going to be $300. For me, the way I approach the stock market in general is that I like to ladder into trades or ladder into positions. And here it's going to be 300 where I'm interested in buying the first shares of Tesla again, buying back because I sold Tesla at the highs. Okay, let's see what we are doing here. There's also one thing that's interesting. I don't think you can really trade this on BTC, but what we can see from here, based off the next 30-second close or the next 1 minute close, which is going to happen in 30 seconds, we might see some momentum on BTC. This would at least change the context on the lower time frames a little bit. So it's going to be very, and actually I should stay here now, as we can change the context soon on BTC, which would be the reclaim. Yeah. Oh, future's still weak. Wouldn't get ahead of myself yet. Let's see this previous demand. Any thoughts on MicroStrategy? Yeah, for me, honestly, I would just trade BTC. Why care about MicroStrategy as it's so correlated? And all I would do is just short MicroStrategy, if I'm honest with you. Like, no point in longing that, because if I want to long that, I would just go with BTC. You see here, this is why I explained that to you. Never long, no financial advice, but I personally never long into previous demand, because that, oh, for now, it's not the best looking rejection there. Okay. See this super clean, the previous demand. Let's wait on a close. Can check the volume. Still no major volume increases here. Scott is here. Hope you're doing well, my friend. What are the correlations saying? Ooh, still weak. What a drop that is on the day. Nice. Love it. Because in my opinion, anyone who took a long trade down here already, I'd be pretty concerned about this retest here, if I'm being honest. That is why we stay patient. And one approach that I always had or still have is before I take a trade, I always ask myself, no matter how this trade plays out, but would I be happy seeing this trade in my journal at the end of the day? If I was taking a long trade here, I end up losing this trade, I journal this trade at the end of the day, I would not be happy seeing that I longed into a clean demand zone like this. Let me know if you want me to stay a little longer, because it's been going on for 1 hour, just to know what you guys and girls are up to. If you want to see how this plays out, you want to give it some more time, let me know if you're still here. Don't forget to hit the like button, as that's a good way for us to actually see if you are enjoying what we are doing, because, yeah, let me know. Stay, yes, please. I'm gonna see if the volume is changing here. Volume is still up there, so the value area low. About our correlations, still going lower. Still going lower. Is, in my opinion, staying patient, as most of you know, staying patient is one of the most difficult parts of trading, because we always can feel tempted to take a trade, because unfortunately in every other part of life we typically correlate doing more to having a better output. If we, for example, want to study something, the more we study, of course, the better we will get. The more we go to the gym, the more muscle we will build, so on and so forth. But in trading, the trade count is good in terms of experience, but in terms of the dollar value output, the amount of trades you take is not correlated to your profits. Okay, so that is why staying patient can be very challenging mentally, but is just the most important thing in trading. Oops. Yeah, you see someone saying you lost 8 trades not staying patient. But even that can happen, and every trader is going to go through that. But journal that, review, make changes based off the feedback that the market is giving you. Now my camera is dying, by the way. Still here, but my camera has a super weak battery, so smash the likes. Yeah, 888 people watching the stream, 888. That is the number of financial freedom, I think. So that's nice. We should see something here on BTC now. What's the correlation there? What's the correlation on that? BTC rather slow here. Not this. Point of control. Let's see. Very, very, very technical what we are seeing here. And just imagine being long from here, prices reversing back to break even, and the new low is made. This is just, in my opinion, the cleanest price action that you will see. You can replicate that across assets. It can be futures, gold, Bitcoin, stocks, whatever you look at. What is driving the market? Volume. Where do we have a lot of volume? Previous highs, previous lows, so people can have big stop losses executed, people can fill big orders. Another way to look at liquidity is supply and demand. We had demand. So that means for a series of many candles, people were trying to hold the weekly, protecting the weekly. So technically speaking, the moment you lose and retest this, there's a lot of demand that is then flipping into supply. Easy demand into supply flip. Okay, good. Now we have to check the whole process again. Futures with the first move to the upside. Are we changing something here? That could be an early sign that we are seeing a sign of strength on BTC next. Let's check this here. Still super bearish for now. Super bearish here. BTC can do the exact same scenario here. So now, just because you are seeing a new low and it might be a 1 minute SFP, is it? Yeah, it's a 1 minute SFP. Still, I would never long into this previous demand zone. So still, the same scenario applies here. Need to see the sign of strength first. Let's see this Bloom Energy real quick. I know this. Hey, pulling back. In my opinion, I'm not longing yet, but it looks better now. It does look a little bit better. We have shorts at the lows. This is looking better. Futures. Gonna check the volume. Still nothing crazy. Oi, okay. Members know. Members know. 30-minute candle, much better. If this closes above the weekly, I will take a long trade. I'm getting ready. But I still need to give it a little bit of time, and I'm gonna stay for that. My retirement trade on NQ has just been the absolute best trade in the world, where I was looking at this key level. I wanted to see this hit this level, make a lower high, which we have done, to then make a new low. Exactly what played out. But I would really need to focus on this for a little bit. And then I will explain the retirement trade in a bit, where I made over 400,000 on this trade on NASDAQ. I already explained it on one of my streams, but yeah, I want to focus on this now for a second. Okay, NASDAQ. This is now honestly very annoying that I cannot see the order flow on the futures. 10 minutes. I do like the low on the 30-minute. Okay, my alert that BTC is back at the highs. Still the 30-minute, very decisive. For now, we are testing this again. That's not the long confirmation just yet. And whatever I do here, of course, no financial advice. So what I can explain here is the 30-minute. Why do I like this? So previously, we were looking, I'm going to clean this up a little bit. We were looking at lows like this right here. Price made higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low. Lots of liquidity down here. 30-minute, thus not the best. Now, if we look at the 30-minute, this is cleaned, liquidity is taken, and we see this impulse to the upside. 9 minutes for this to close. Okay, so let's see what happens. Do we get the first smaller sign of strength of a 5-minute close inside, and so on and so forth? The 30-minute might close inside as well with a good candle formation. And then this is a COT for the ones that know my strategy, which for me is the best candle formation that you can find. Scott hit the nail on the head what a COT is. Nice, bro. I'm preparing, not executing yet. Every trade, as we know, always has a risk. Can I lose this trade? 100%. If I see my desired entry criteria, I will still take it, no financial advice, and find out. It's my entry criteria. Above the weekly. I do use auto flow, but my ATAS just crashed. It decided to not help me on this long trade, and I unfortunately can't open it for now. But what I converted a little bit more towards, especially on crypto, is that candle formation is way stronger than auto flow for me. And also again, so for this trade, I have to reinforce this, but it is no financial advice what I'm saying here. But for me, when I take a day trade like this, because it's going to start as a day trade, if I take a 30-minute entry, it can only be a day trade. Okay, but if I manage to get this with such a tiny invalidation, I would still aim for a really good risk to reward. And that is then, for me, yeah, even if I lose this, it's not going to be the end of the world. As I'm trying to hold this trade for a little bit longer. The first bigger resistance that we have is this downtrend anchored VWAP and another test of this channel here, this channel. What could happen if we get this, we get the long trade, we move into here. This is where I protect my trade minimum. But if we start to get a reclaim, this would actually be a very nice sign of strength. So this trade has some good potential. However, for now, I need to wait on my desired sign of strength still. And yeah, that's just how I look at the market here, or always do, because I'm not really interested in taking a trade and then just taking that into the value area low. When I take a long trade, I want to know that this trade has potential to give me follow through, and only then it's worth it in my opinion. But a scalp trade into this here, no. See, for now, still no long trades unless we get the close above. Okay, so we have to make this, we have to make this super obvious. 30-minute close above. Okay, so no longs yet. What are the futures doing? Futures, week. Because it doesn't look like we're going to get the 30-minute close above. And then the next level would be 65,000 still. Because with this, zero chance I will take this. Zero chance. Okay, you see, new low mate. Still, it's gonna be another wait here. So no longs. I'm gonna check this on the medium time frame for a second. And hide this. What else do we have around down here? In my opinion, losing the value area low, gotta be honest with you, is quite weak. $7.5 is lost from down here, which I don't even like this pull. Even the CC is the 660. I don't know. I don't know. If we lose this, not too good. Let's stay here. But can you just see, if you take anything away from this stream, it is the importance of supply and demand zones. And I said it before, but it is something you need to be looking at. Without that, you are missing out on the most important piece of the puzzle, in my opinion. Backtesting supply and demand zones, 1,000,000% made me a better trader, okay? And we do have an entire lesson on this on the website. Okay, so here again, I would never long this, never, without reclaiming the previous demand here. I mean, not even then, as I want to see the 30-minute close above still, but so critical, so critical to understand this. How does that work? Only then no financial advice, but only then I would take the long trade. So, weak. And why don't we do this for a second? Shall we stay on Bitcoin for it? Is it the 5-minute time frame still? So in terms of supply and demand, previous demand flipped into supply. Previous demand flipped into supply. We have demand here in this region, not even retested, but another drop. So you tell me, is supply and demand working? Is it important? I would say yes. 2, 3. See another one here. But I think the 30-minute is closing super soon. And without the close above, I still don't like it. So we would have to see buyers show up very soon. It's 1, 2 traps here. Ooh. It's a time where the correlations again become quite important. Ethereum still holding the lows, which is also suspicious, but Solana hit the lows. 30-minute, no longs there. So 20 seconds for 30 minutes, honestly. Wow, so bad that it's gonna be such an indecisive candle now. Because my criteria is this, and I am very picky with my criteria. Without my criteria, I'm simply not logging. You're also not the most convincing. Yeah. It's not it. It is not the 30-minute close above, so it would still be a long into previous demand. Now it's gonna be this. To wait another 30 minutes. We already looked at quite a few assets, but this is one thing where we just have to adapt ourselves and adjust, because if there was no action on BTC, I would have looked at many other coins, assets, whatever it is. But if we have this, and I know that BTC is normally one of the biggest interest, I have to stay here and check this, of course. Let's zoom out here for a second just to remind ourselves, how does that all look? Into the level, liquidity taken, good, level is decent. What is this in terms of 1-to-1 comes far lower, which is then, in my opinion, going to take us into here. So still 58,000 is an amazing level. Because for now, every attempt above the weekly still not holding. So still too early. Let's see here. Interesting to see that most assets are down, gold is up in the day. Let this exact scenario play out. Beautiful. Beautiful. So let's see what's happening here still. Let me know if you have any questions. I might look at 2-3 questions. Let's see, 5-minute formation. 30 minutes is okay-ish. 1 hour. So, what is your prediction of BTC over the next 4 hours? That doesn't make sense to predict this one. That is where you have to be a reactionary based trader, because as a trader, we need to open ourselves to the idea that anything can happen. It could be that in the next 4 hours we drop 20% on BTC. Is it likely? I don't think so. Can it happen? Yes, of course. What I will do in the next 4 hours is see what the market decides to do and I react to it accordingly. Which means if I see a good sign of strength, as I told you, I will long BTC. If I don't, I have to stay patient. Thus, it doesn't make sense. I mean, if I was able to predict the next 4 hours, I would already be in a trade, pretty likely. But here, I just need to wait for the market to tell me what to do next. All right? Scott, legend. And one thing that I must say here with, yeah, all of you know Scott, of course, already, but you need to check out Scott's streams over on the website. Extremely helpful. It's also a very new perspective or a new field that is covered in CC now, looking at options, having the weekly outlooks and everything. Extremely helpful if you want to stay calm and collected in the markets. As I said in the beginning, having this macro perspective is extremely important. So we have to do top-down analysis on everything that we do. And Scott can help a lot by doing that. Makes BTC plans that, by the way, played out extremely well. So yeah, definitely check that out. Why alt's not dumping as hard as BTC? Yeah, good question actually, but I was also wondering that why Ethereum is holding the low while BTC already took it. So yeah. So what I will already do is with a 1 hour close above, I'm likely taking a long trade on Bitcoin. Yeah. The 4 hour is gonna take another. Yeah, I might see. So I'm gonna give you my plan, which is no financial advice. 1 minute close above, sorry, 1 hour close above will be. No, I'm not going to do this as it looks like financial advice. I think I'm just going to explain what I do. But 1 hour close. Now, why do I have a minute here? 1 hour close above. I will take my first long trade on BTC. If the 4 hour ends up closing above here, I will compound my trade a little bit. 4 hour close above here, and I compound my trade. But the first and most important thing here is the 1 hour close. Good question. When you protect your position, what percentage of the trade do you close? Then when you hit your TP levels, what percentage of the trade? So when I protect as in moving a stop loss, that would always be 100% of the position. So if I'm in 1 BTC long, my stop loss is 1 BTC. If I trail it to break even, I trail the entire 1 BTC stop loss, of course, because for the futures traders, they know you could also trail like only partials of your stop loss. That would always be 100%. If I take a take profit one, it depends on the outlook of that trade. Is it a swing trade, scalp trade, day trade? Day trade typically 25% to 50%. On a swing trade, the first take profit is much lower, okay? So much smaller. Here, for example, I know if I get into this BTC trade and I manage to hold it till up here, this is going to be 25%. So for the ones trading my momentum strategy on futures, we do have momentum now form on BTC. This is the first sign that it is trying to change the context here. We do need the highs to be taken out though. Very good comment, TD Player T. I have to say I'm feeling weird FOMO for having to wait 20 minutes for the close. This is very confronting, to be honest. Yeah, I know. One of the most difficult things in trading. One of the most difficult things. But you will learn over time, sitting on your hands saves so much capital that, yeah, it's just going to be worth it. It's just going to be worth it. And yeah, I don't know. It is just one thing that you have to really get into your brains, that patience is worth a lot of money. Yeah, very good one. Can't wait to check out yours video, Scott. Yeah, you have to do it. It's over on the website. I'm sure you will also do YouTube videos soon, but on the website it's already a must to check those videos. You see YouTube next month. I wouldn't wait a month, though I would check it on the website already. I wouldn't wait a month for that. I want to have it now. Oh yeah, pair Atas. I'm still logged out of Atas. I can go back in. So unlikely for the futures to bottom out then, without me filling my contracts. Feel a little bit blind, I'm not gonna lie, without looking at Atas. Feel like I'm handicapped here. Fit time, no, I personally do not look at it. Gonna take another 17 minutes. I don't think I'm gonna stay all the way, but you know exactly what I'm gonna do. 1 hour close about. I mean, I can't make it more obvious, to be honest. So, Ethereum, Solana, NEAR. How much time do you think is needed to understand enough to start trading successfully, and how much time do you commit on average per day? Great question. It depends on how much time you can allocate to learn trading. For me, with yeah, I had to go to university. I was also working for PwC already during university as a working student. Then I had to use all the time that I had left. That meant weekends, that meant late nights and everything. I started like that. And then I transitioned to focusing more on trading. And then it took me 2 years where I could confidently say that I transitioned to a full-time trader. 2 years, but it was long days, to be honest with you, very long days. I used to go to my work at 5 a.m. in the morning. I was always the first one, although I was a working student. What they didn't know was I wasn't working for them. I was just checking trading because I had to save the time. I would have been stuck in traffic. That's why I was going so early, because it was taking me an hour in the morning to get to my work. So I decided to go at 5 a.m. in the morning. So it only took me 20 minutes. Then I was learning how to, or I was committing to videos, doing all of my courses of CC in the morning. Then I was working, was doing university in between. Then I stayed. I was the last person to leave the office as well, because I needed to, again, save time that I would have been stuck in traffic. And then when I was back home, I was doing even more. So that took 2 years, but it was worth every sacrifice that I made, because the flexibility that you now have as a trader is insane, and also the input required is going to get less. So what you will see, also different to all jobs out there, or most of the jobs out there, there's even an inverse correlation. The longer you spend being a trader in front of the charts, the less you will have to do for even better returns. So that is why, for me personally, it is worth every single sacrifice. Thank you. I appreciate that, Francisco. I would like to thank you, Severin, for all you do for us. That's very nice to hear. You know, we're getting our 50K fields in April. Oh, I'm down for it. More than happy with it. We had a little bit of a pop-up, but that is, yeah, due to NQ and ES, I think. Well, you can slowly see here. So let's just read the context here for a little bit. The first sign of a context change is happening here because we have demand, 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 demand. As we identified, was flipped to supply, new low made. Now, price is for the first time trying to claim this demand zone and flip this previous mini supply that we had. So it is starting to look better. Still not the long trade for me, as anything can still happen in the last 30 minutes of this 1 hour close. However, we are starting to see something here. On ES and NQ, I've just done a live trading stream, by the way, before I started this stream, where I shared my outlook on the futures. I think we made 6,000, let me check exactly, $6,775 on stream. So yeah, pretty nice. Futures live trading is what we do 4 times a week because we get so many scalp trades. Sitting at $175,000 in live trading profits over the last 8 months or something. Target for this year is 250,000. It's an average of $2,400, $500 per stream. It's just if you want to make money, that's just the way to go. How would you recommend journaling? I find it to be journaling. I got you. If you are interested in journaling, I'm currently building an entire course on statistics building, which includes journaling, of course, but also Scott is covering journaling and going to do lessons on that. Could I explain my strategy on the NQ trade? I explained this for the members in my live stream on the 5th of February. It was the first time I actually shared the setup. And then, yeah, my entry strategy is just something that is very well defined. Everyone can replicate that. Allowed me to make, so my risk on this one, by the way, people always ask about the risk, was, which you should do. My risk was $8,000, and with the risk of $8,000 on futures, I made $436,000, which is a very good R&R. How much are you trading per trade? This is also where futures would be different. One contract on Nasdaq has a nominal value of about $400,000. The margin required is only 1,000. So it works completely different. It works in ticks. On average, my risk per contract, so for the 1,000 margin that I use, the risk is $200 per contract, okay? Yeah, let me know. So how much interest is there on this retirement trade on NQ that we had? This long right here, taking it into this lower high formation based off this fractal that we had as well, and all of that. How much interest is there? Give me a thumbs up or whatever, then I can do a separate video on this even. So do let me know. Getting here, by the way. Nasdaq still weak though. Let's see if we can update this volume. Because what you have to think about, a $8,000 risk and making 400,000 is very amazing. But then think about this. I don't say it's easy. I don't say it's happening very often, but only taking 1/10 of that would be $800 risk to make 40,000. Even that is crazy when you think about that, what the futures can do. Okay, it looks like it's requested. Lots of interest. Yes, interest. Okay. Let me see if I can pull something up here. BTC giving us a sign of strength. I do like how the context is slowly shifting here. Gonna put this here. Okay, because then I could do a separate video on that. So for the live trading streams, we can quickly pull this up here. So if you look into this right here, this is my statistics on these live trading streams that I do minimum twice a week, more, 3 times a week. Overall, I've taken 450 trades, won 336, lost 112. The profit currently is $176,000, all taken on stream, with an average profit of 2,500. So that is where you can see on futures, you can just very consistently replicate your results. It's just, yeah, very nice. Win rate is 76.9%. Are we going on for super long now? No, like 7 minutes. Should I wait this? What a long one. Still, even with reading the context here, having the first sign of strength even, I could still lose this trade, and I have to accept this before I take the trade. I can never take a trade where I wouldn't expect the trade or where I couldn't accept this trade to be lost. I could never use a trade value or a trade size that is so big that I couldn't afford the loss, or I couldn't accept it, or it would affect me psychologically. I would go into the weekend feeling upset, feeling depressed, whatever. I could never do that. How much risk for making 2K on average? That's a difficult one. It depends on your R&R, but if you want to make 2,000 a month, you mean, or a day? I'm starting to get hungry here, so I don't really want to see that close now. To trade NQ futures, I use AMP futures, and I trade that on ATAS. NQ made a new low. Here you can see, by the way, how much trading is about waiting. About your stream results. Oh, okay, how much risk for making 2K on average? Let's think about that. So this is all the trades I take on live stream. Sometimes it's that I take more than one trade. But on average, my stop loss per contract would be 250 on Nasdaq, I would say. 250. Can you analyze BTC? That's what I'm doing since 1.5 hours. It's for lunch and dinner and breakfast. I will wait for this close here. Now that it's only 4 minutes, just give me 1 minute and I'll be back. But I'm gonna wait for the 1 hour close. So I'm back. Couldn't wait to wee real quick. Severin is the best trader together with Daniel. You're just simply rolling on the. Oh, that's a nice comment. I do agree that we do a good job overall. So let's see, 1 minute. Future's not really lining up with it though. Spain is the ideal time zone for you to trade with you. Yeah, it's, I would say, yeah, European time zone is perfect. Nice. Oh, thanks for all the lovely comments. So, let's see this close here. It's the value area low retest as we were expecting that to be the first resistance. And it is closed. 1 hour close above. For me, I'm taking a long trade here with a local invalidation. It's not a massive position size as it's not really counting as a swing trade yet. But yeah, that's all I can do now. Let's see if it holds. So with that being said, now we got the close, we will see, but I am going to wrap it up here. My invalidation is a little bit wider, just so if we get another liquidity grab here, I'm going to keep an eye. It's not ideal with this retest here, but for me, it's yeah, what I was waiting for. So I'm now going to take it, and that's going to be it. So I hope you enjoyed the stream. Let's see how this plays out. I'm going to keep an eye if we make a new low, which can happen. Everything I'm doing here is no financial advice, of course. But yeah, then I have to accept it. That's it. Waited for my confirmation, all I can do as a trader. So I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to hit the like buttons if you want to see BTC go up. Yeah, we will see. So have a great day. We will be back next week. Now I'm just gonna, yeah, see what happens next. So thank you all for being here. Hope you enjoyed and see you next time.